how to focus on house chores and maybe daily tasks. So things that you're having to do at home. And I don't know how you want to start this off, but especially things that you don't want to do. Like some people don't want to do the dishes, or they don't want to do the, boring house chores that you don't want to do. It's really hard to focus on those particularly. So
I would say that that laziness is a big part of it. No one likes to hear that, but laziness is a lot of it. And whenever you get the first thought in your head of like, oh, I need to do the dishes, that's when you should do it. Is when you get the first thought in your head. Because that's usually like your conscious, like kind of talking to you, or you're talking to yourself. And it's kind of like people say like the little inner voice in your head. And that's what you usually listen to in times of trouble, in times of need. And it's kind of the same thing. When you first get the idea in your head, okay, to do something, that's when it should be done. Because if you keep like putting it off and you bury it a little deeper each time, then it just kind of gets further and further behind. Whereas the first time you think of it, that's like the prime time to do it.
Any tips, or just like training your brain to immediately go and not?
It's definitely a training thing, because it does take practice and no one wants to do it. So if you can think in your head, when I first think of something to do it, then when you next think about it, do you have to think? It's a lot of thinking. It's a lot of thinking is involved.
I think I've kind of done that with some of my chores. Like the dishes, I don't mind too much, but I have noticed that, over the years, I used to live in a house with adults with intellectual disabilities. So part of the thing there was to help with the chores, to help with the dishes, and if they didn't get done, to do them. So over the years working there, I kind of trained my brain to do kind of what you just said. And now moving back, basically by myself, I have a roommate, but I still have that tendency to, whenever I think, oh, the chores need to be done, I'm really good at doing them right then, at least the dishes, and not letting them sit in the sink with water. If I need to soak something, I soak it, but then, I remind myself to go back and actually do them. But some chores, like organizing my mail, as you've seen, is like just doesn't get done, and I don't know. I need to train my brain on that somehow. I'm not really sure. So let's talk about that. Like, how can I maybe focus on getting my mail done?
So organizing your mail, what I would suggest is, so when you have all your mail in a pile, whether it's here, there, or something, I like to sit on the floor. I feel like I focus better sitting on the floor versus like watching TV or sitting in a chair even. I don't know. I guess something about the whole crisscross applesauce thing with your kind of brings you back and makes me focus more. So I sit on the floor. I have like all my mail out, and that's my one task to do right then. Nothing else to do but just look at the mail. It's something that a lot of people put off. I mean, even I put it off. But once you sit down, I would say on the floor, and then do it. It usually kind of goes by a lot easier.
That's a really good point, because especially the part about the TV, that's one of my things that is really distracting for me, and it helps me not focus. Is if, let's say, for example, I have that pile of mail and I'm going to go through it. I finally trained my brain to not put it off anymore, and I'm like, okay, Calvin, it's time to do this pile of mail. So I get wherever I'm going to sort it. I have a tendency to have the TV on in the background, or turning on my music, or checking one more thing on my phone, my email, or whatever, and that usually has like an 80% chance to derail me into focusing on something, not the mail, for another day or two or whatever. So eliminating distractions, I think, is a really big one that I probably need to work on myself.
Another example of literally a few minutes ago, Calvin went to go get a notepad, and in doing so, he sat at his desk, but bumped his desk so that the computer woke up after going to sleep. And then when the screen opens up, the eyes go to the screen, notification popped up, something's done, and then another task forms without completing the initial task.
And that was at least a 5-minute distraction. It was probably 10.
Least. It was longer than that.
I was like, oh, my videos are done, whatever they were doing. And I was like, hey, Peyton, come look at these videos. And then it was like, crap, that was 10 minutes.
So to help eliminate that potential issue is, not be by the screens, whether it be TV, phone, computer. If you have a task you need to do, it's kind of best. That's why I say sit on the floor, because it's kind of like, it's like your own little bubble, no screens, kind of the whole like childlike innocence. I don't know, that doesn't make sense.
No,
but like
it makes sense.
no, you didn't have a phone as a child, so it's kind of like going back to that.
Yeah, I see. But yeah, big thing for me is eliminating distractions. That will help me focus.